How to install a mosaic tile backsplash. This simple to follow video will walk you through the steps to quickly and efficiently install a beautiful new mosaic tile backsplash. Mosaic backsplashes have a mesh backer for ease of installation. Mosaic tile is available in glass, metal, and natural stone styles along with a variety of beautiful combinations. The installation and cutting process for mosaic tile is similar for all of these materials. In this demonstration, we will be installing a mosaic mesh backsplash comprised of glass and natural stone. Step 1. Prepare your materials. To begin your backsplash project, you will need to measure your installation area to determine the amount of material needed for your project. Here's a tip. We recommend that you add 10 to 15% additional material to account for cuts and waste. A backsplash can be installed on existing drywall that is properly prepared or cement backer board. Cement backer board is a good choice for areas subject to dampness. Make sure you have everything needed for installation. Most items can be picked up at any home improvement store or tile shop. To perform this project over existing drywall, we will need the following items. Mastic works well for mosaic projects. You'll also need a measuring tape, a square, a utility knife, a grease pencil, a 1/16 inch V-notch trowel, a margin trowel for working in narrow spaces, stain-free grout, finished nails, a tiling float, spacers, a towel or rags, a bucket of water, several sponges, and a wet saw with a fine grit diamond blade. Professional tip: thin set may be used instead of mastic if you're installing individual tile sizes that are larger than 3 inches by 3 inches. For cement backer board installations, you will also need an electric drill, a Phillips head screwdriver, and backer board screws. Step 2. Prepare your surface. Here's a professional tip. Before applying your backsplash to the wall, lightly sand the surface by hand with 80 grit sandpaper or steel wool to rough it. This will help the tile adhesive adhere to the wall. It's important that the wall is clean and you remove any existing debris. Step 3. Installing the backsplash. For this project, we will be using mastic. This is a specially formulated, ready-to-use adhesive that doesn't require mixing. The formula makes it better than traditional mortar for securing tiles on a vertical surface. Before you start tiling, decide how you will finish your edges. We will use a pencil molding for this project. They are available in a variety of materials and create a nice finished look. Pencil molding requirements are calculated in linear feet. We are starting this project on the left side. Because of this, we're going to need to create a straight edge on the left. Use a square to mark the beginning edge in a straight line. We will mark and draw a straight line down our wall where the mosaic tile will begin. The pencil molding here will be installed after all of the mosaic pieces are in place. Next, make a straight cut on the initial mosaic pieces to eliminate the pieces that protrude and to create a straight edge. Now we can start to set the tiles. Begin with the bottom row at a corner. Using your trowel, spread the adhesive evenly over the wall surface. Press the tile firmly into the adhesive. Place a spacer below the row of tiles, as this will provide a straight row and a grout joint to match the inner tiles. Insert spacers to shore up any uneven grout joints to ensure uniformity and even grout joints throughout your backsplash. After the mosaic panels are placed, use the float to tap the tile to be certain it is secured firmly and evenly on the wall. Step 4. Cutting tile. Here are some wet saw cutting tips. Always keep your hands as far away from the blade as possible. Always wear eye protection. Pieces of tile are extremely sharp, and there is always a risk of pieces flying into your eyes. For best results, use slow, even pressure to push the tile through the wet saw's blade. A 6,000 RPM glass wet saw cutting blade can be used for most glass, natural stone, and metal mosaic projects. Check with your tile or wet saw manufacturer for more detailed blade recommendations. When cutting smaller tile pieces, use a base of wood or tile under the piece being cut. Excess water will weaken your adhesive. After cutting tiles, dry off the tile completely with a towel or rag before putting it into place. Use a greased pencil to mark the front of the tile. Do not mark the back of mosaic tiles with anything other than pencil or wax crayon, as it can cause it to not adhere properly to the wall. Step 5. Installing around electrical fixtures. Turn off the electricity in your kitchen prior to installing around electrical fixtures. When installing around an electrical outlet, stop your progress on the last column before you get to the outlet. For this outlet, we are going to need to knock out a hole in 2 mosaic tile panels. On the last installed mosaic panel, measure the top row to the inside of the outlet box, then measure to the outside of the outlet box. Finally, measure up from the counter to the screw hole. Mark out the same dimensions on your tile with the greased pen, then use a square to draw straight lines. You're ready to go and cut out your tiles. After cutting, you will place your tiles around the outlet. Some small pieces of tile may need to be placed individually. Use spacers as needed. Now you're ready to measure for the top panel. Again, measure from the last panel to the inside of the outlet box. Then, measure to the outside of the outlet box. Make these marks with the grease pen, then measure from the top down to the top screw hole on the outlet. Make this final mark, then use the wet saw to cut along the marks. The 2 cut panels should fit perfectly over the outlet, leaving the outlet holes uncovered. Once you are finished tiling, any excess adhesive should be cleaned off with warm water and a sponge. Step 6. Borders. There are a number of options to finish the edge of your backsplash. For this project, we will be using a simple pencil molding border on the open edge. Apply mastic to the back of the pencil molding and install along the drawn lines. Cut the pencil molding as necessary and press firmly into place. Step 7. Grouting. Allow mastic or thin set to dry overnight before grouting. Grout fills the space between the tiles. It is a messy process, so be sure to cover any area that you don't want to get messy. Here's a tip. Apply a clear sealer or enhancer to slate backsplashes before grouting to avoid any grout residue sticking to the stone. Use a razor blade to remove any remaining mastic, being careful not to scratch the tile. Use a margin trowel to mix the grout according to the manufacturer's instructions. Here's a tip. Non-sanded grout should be used for grout spaces of 1/8 of an inch or less, and for polished stone, metal, and glass tile to avoid scratching the tile during grouting. Use a rubber float to press the grout into the joints. Use the edge of your float to skim off excess grout. Avoid digging into the joints. Move the float diagonally across the tiles. Wipe the backsplash in a diagonal direction to remove any excess grout. Clean tiles to remove any remaining grout haze. Rinse the sponge frequently in warm water. Let the grout dry as recommended by the manufacturer. Step 8. Final cleaning, sealing, and caulking. Before sealing the grout, let the grout cure completely as recommended by the manufacturer. Sealing the grout provides greater water resistance and helps to keep it from staining. Always check with the grout manufacturer for a sealer recommendation. Don't let the grout sealer dry on your tile. Be sure to wipe off any excess with a damp sponge within 10 minutes. Glass or metal mosaic backsplash tiles do not require sealing. However, sealing is recommended for natural stone, so check with your manufacturer for recommendations. Finally, squeeze a thin bead of caulk into the joints in any corner and at the junction points with cabinets. Your newly installed Backsplash will add an elegant focal point to your kitchen. Backsplash mosaics are a luxurious upgrade that will enhance and showcase any kitchen project.